now or over the course of the semester. So we are, again, recording this session. So if you want your video off or if you have any problems with that, just so you know, we're recording.
We're recording this and it's going to be uploaded to our tutorials page on Twitter, or not Twitter, on YouTube. And I will be captioning it tomorrow, so you guys should all receive a direct link to this as well. Plus, it will be linked on our Moodle page. So you guys see on this page, there is a bit.ly link. Feel free to take a screenshot. I will also send out this link after the presentation, but it's going to link you to an accessible document, which basically explains what the video is about, and it kind of highlights and explains some of the experiences that we'll be talking about during our session today, plus talking about the lesson plan toolbox that we've created for you all and all of that. So feel free to go ahead and take a note of that bit.ly link, and we will go ahead and get started. You can see here, this is kind of our overall kind of agenda for the day. So we're going to start with talking a little bit about how we kind of shifted gears in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. We're going to jump into our lesson plan and Hyflex toolbox, which we have created specifically for librarians and for instructors, just to make it easier for you to think about how to incorporate information literacy activities and concepts into your classes, whether it's an online course, face-to-face course, hybrid, Hyflex, any particular way. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our library instruction menu, and then we're going to open for any questions or discussion and things like that. So yeah.
Before we start, because there's so few of you, I figure we could do this in the chat. If there's a particular reason why you're here, if you can let us know in the chat and we can make sure that we can highlight that. It'll also help you get an idea of what other people might be doing. And we also want to preface this by letting you know that we're here to help you. So if any of this information seems like it might be useful for this class, for your class or classes, that's what we're here to do, is to help you. Don't think of this as like, oh no, now I need to fit a library session in. It's, oh, how might a library session support my students? So don't panic if you're like, this won't fit in the syllabus. We're happy to work with you to make things work if you're interested in doing this.
So as you guys think about what you want to get out of today's session, or if what you want to get out of some future partnerships with us, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the first point with responding to COVID. So before the pandemic, a majority of the library's materials and services were already fully available online. So that made our transition very easy. The use of our physical materials have been trending downwards for years, and this is really a trend that's been affecting libraries nationwide. So we have gone even more seriously into purchasing e-publication versions of requested titles and really evaluating and integrating a wider variety of online databases as we continue to expand online access to ebooks, academic articles, and our video streaming services, which has actually gone up in requests since we have moved completely online. So many of our students and faculty have also been really utilizing both email and online chat as a way to connect with librarians for reference assistance and research help. So since the pandemic, we've really successfully been able to do that. Plus being able to have multiple Zoom consultations with students, both in class, one-on-one, and as a group. So this has been really successful, and Sarah's going to go a little further into detail on how she did that with Deb Romey's class over the summer.
Apologize, I was muting because I was typing to respond to chats. So I was going to talk a little bit about what I did with Deb's class. Hi, Deb. Thank you for being wonderful to work with. Let me start by saying that. So my original plan for last spring semester was to be working fairly closely with two of Deb's classes, with the grammar class and with the FYS course. So the plan was that we'd have a couple of different library sessions. Deb was great and went above and beyond and already had a worksheet put together for those sessions. So I was just going to build lessons around that. And I had created and updated course LibGuides, which are research guides where we collect materials that are relevant to that class for students. So I'd worked on those for that class, and then COVID happened. So the research guides were already created, but we hadn't had time to really do the in-depth library research sessions. And because students had limited access to wireless internet, or just there were some timing issues with some classes, it didn't really make sense to have me show up to class and just lecture at them and say, here's where you do this on the library website. So what we did was I took Deb's worksheet, and Christine, Jacob, and I, three of the librarians, we created video tutorials for each question. So students would watch a 3 to 6 minute video that was an introduction to the library website, or how to find an ebook, or how to search within an ebook. And they go through each of these questions, watch the tutorial, and then answer a question about it. The way we geared the worksheet was to push students to find library resources that were directly tied to a project. So we didn't have them doing this as just some arbitrary exercise. It was, here, then you can use these resources. Also, tell us why you would use these resources. So we wanted it to somewhat be pushing them towards thinking about annotated bibliographies that are useful, like what are some key points, but also just reducing their stress a little bit. Like, cool, now I have 2 articles. Another thing that we added in, so instead of me being there for a class, I met with students either individually, or Christine, Jacob, and I met with students in small groups. And this ended up working out really well. I got the worksheet ahead of time, and I could look through their answers, see where they were having issues, see where they had questions, bring that up. And then Deb was great and asked them to have questions going into the meeting. So that worked really, really well for us. And it was sort of we had an idea to start with and had to change it on the fly. So this is something that we can do. Then over the summer, we modified it a little bit more. We used the worksheet again for the grammar class. I met with students individually, but I was also embedded in the Moodle course. So I could see what students were submitting in the Moodle course. I could get in there. I had a forum where if they wanted to ask me a question, they didn't have to leave Moodle. They could ask a question on the forum. My email was listed like 6 different places. I made a joke about that, and the students laughed about as much as you would expect. But I found it funny. So we had that. We're also working on embedding library chat into Moodle, figuring out if that's possible. So again, just trying to reduce barriers for students if they need to ask us any questions. So the goal was to make things easier and less stressful, but also to support students so they were still doing quality research.
Exactly. And so we know that moving into this upcoming semester and redesigning our courses and thinking about Hyflex, information literacy just feels like another thing to add on top of that. So we have created this toolbox to help you guys just make that transition a little bit easier. So if you click on or use this bit.ly link right here, it's going to pull up this document right here. It includes our information. We're going to be uploading the URL for the YouTube video and where it is on Moodle once I am done with this. You guys have a direct link to our Universal Design Learning Lesson Plans and Library Instruction Menu. And there's a link here for a wide menu of just services that we work with faculty to complete. So when you go to the Faculty Information Literacy link right here, you are going to see this page. We have called it UDL Lesson Plans because we're really kind of thinking about how this can be universally applied to all types of courses, not just Hyflex. So what is going to be particularly helpful for you, we wanted to highlight, are the UDL lesson plans that we have linked right here. So when you click on these links, you are going to see this collection of documents. And this document is basically talking about the information literacy framework. What is it about? How can you use it to apply to the types of sources or the types of content that you're trying to cover in your classes? These are essentially materials that I have shared in past information literacy workshops. So these are all available here. But really, depending on what you are interested in doing, you can go to lessons divided by frameworks, and each of these folders is populated with an assignment that you can use to embed into your course. So for example, if you were interested in doing something in regards to scholarly versus non-scholarly sources, you can click on this document and you are going to find all the information you need on how to integrate this into your course. So what is the teaching scenario? You want to use this for some intro-level courses to differentiate between popular and scholarly sources. We've also included learning objectives, the frames that this applies to, how the particular assignment can be assessed, how it can be adapted to both in-person and on-person locations, some of the prior knowledge, so how you can get students to start talking about a particular concept before you do the activity, what the actual instruction is, what students should be doing for active learning, and how to close the activity. And many of these links also include either a worksheet or some prompts that you can easily translate to both an online and face-to-face learning environment. So we really created these to kind of help you guys, like, I need to have an activity, I don't know where to get started. This can at least be a template for you to be able to do whatever it is that you want, whether yourself or in collaboration with a librarian, because we're really happy to sit with you and make these activities work best for your particular course and your content. So it's just a really great tool that we have here. It's kind of a living document right now, so we're still in the process of kind of populating these. So you're going to find more and more activities as the weeks kind of progress. So for an example, another one that we may want to do is maybe information has value. So if you have a group that wants to talk about using a citation manual, we have an activity here. If you want to do something in regards to limited access to information, we have this great activity here on role playing where students can try finding information, and each student may be required to either use just their smartphone or they can use a laptop or something to kind of find information and really understand, especially in the situation it is today, how some people may not have internet or some people may not have computers at home, and how hard it is to find what it is that they need, especially if they're taking online courses and it may be their first time doing it. So there are a pretty good collection of activities in these UDL lessons plans. We have them divided by frameworks and we have them divided by level. So if you're just looking for a one-shot assignment that can tie into a big project, you can go in here and find those assignments as well. Or if you're interested in building a, let's say, 6-week or a 4-week lesson plan on how to do research in a particular subject, there's examples on how to do that here as well. So does anybody have any questions or comments about this this UDL lesson plan or the folder of all of the stuff in it?
And if that feels overwhelming,
Yes.
If you go to there and you're like, wow, this is a lot, not sure where to start, you can go to that website and click on the PDF of the lesson plan menu.
Oh, yes, this right here.
Yes, so Christine put together this beautiful menu, and we encourage you to order off menu if you but these are some ideas about projects or topics that you would want covered in a library instruction session. So in addition to helping you find accessible materials, so if you want to use articles, thanks Lee, if you want to use articles or you want to find library articles that students can access for free, if you want open access materials, we're here to help you with all of that. If you want to find an ebook for your class, or you want to make sure that we have access to an ebook for your class, we're here to help with all of that. But we also are here to design things for your classes too, or to help you design things for your classes. So we can talk to your class about fake news. We can also talk to your class about copyright. If you say like, hey, I need to make sure that my students know how to evaluate resources and create a thesis statement, we'll work with you. Like, I only have half an hour in a class to do this. Like, we'll work with you to make this work and make it easy for your students and hopefully lower stress for them. So the idea is we're here as support, and these are the things that we can help with, but we can also help with other things if you ask.
Exactly. So all of that information is in this accessible document that I shared with the bit.ly at the beginning. We have outlined here what is in the UDL lesson plan. So if you wanted to find an idea in regards to assessment, what the different frameworks are and what the levels are, feel free to go here. I've also created a link here of a blank template. So if you wanted to share an information literacy activity that you've done in your class that you're really excited about and want others to know about it, you're more than welcome to also contribute to the toolbox. So that blank template is linked here as well. And then we've also highlighted the instruction menu that is linked. Please feel free to download this document and share it with others who are either you're working with in your department or elsewhere. We really want people to know that we're really open to helping and working with you to create these really exciting activities and getting libraries still relevant in the course content.
I'm realizing now
Go ahead.
might not have actually explained what the information literacy frameworks are, and I'm used to hearing that, and many other people might not be. So the information literacy frameworks are basically the different aspects of being an information literate individual. And Christine, please jump in with anything you want to add. So something like information has value can just be like teaching students what citations are. Scholarship as conversation can be telling them like, hey, looking at if you're reading an article, check who they cited. But it could also be talking about who's not included in that conversation and why certain voices aren't included in that conversation. So these are things that we can touch on at different levels. So, and this is also something that we can talk to you about. They can seem kind of arbitrary and a little intimidating if you're not used to working with them. And they're fairly straightforward and not always as high thinking as they seem. So yeah, it's something that we can do both for a first year student and for an upper level student.
Exactly. So any questions or comments? We're happy to go back through anything that we kind of talked about, or if there was anything that you came in wanting to know more and we didn't touch on that, we'd be happy to do that now.